Hello. Just testing sound. Can you hear me all right? Hello, hello, hello. Make sure my mics are working. Okay, so hello, my name is Lothar Myck. My brand new album VOCOREAL just came out today. Super pumped about it. And talk about it for a little bit, show off a couple of the new songs, and then go in depth a little bit and show you behind the scenes, kind of pick apart some of the songs. So that's kind of my plan. So the new album is titled VOCOREAL. It's 10 tracks, and unlike all of my previous stuff, or most of my previous stuff, all 10 tracks have lyrics. There's no instrumentals on this album, which is pretty exciting for me. It's kind of a different style. It was fun to experiment with. And the main difference between this and my other, that's the main difference between this and my other releases, and I've used vocoders for all the songs. So I have lyrics instead of singing. I thought I would go in depth a little bit before I show off some of the songs and just kind of explain what a vocoder is and how it works and how I'm using them, just so that kind of makes a little more sense. So basically what a vocoder is a vocal synthesizer that changes the characteristics of your instrument and vocals at the same time, so that you can combine the two in different ways and get a cool effect. There's a couple different effects like vocoders that are common. The main one being like a talk box, which is like a 70s Joe Walsh, Peter Frampton kind of thing. And I've got it's a Boss pedal that basically does vocoders and talk boxes. I was kind of just going to show that off. For the majority of the album, I'm using a synthesizer and a vocoder pedal, but for a couple of songs I also use a guitar. So basically how it works is I have the pedal, vocoder, plug my microphone, and then my instrument, whether that's synthesizer or guitar, into the pedal, turn the pedal on, and then I say or sing something into the microphone at the same time while I'm playing the instrument, and the pedal combines the two signals and transforms them into one unified sound. So I have my stuff set up. I'm just going to demonstrate quick how that works. So right now I have the pedal turned off, and I'll play the synthesizer and talk into the mic, and you'll hear the two sounds independently, and then I'll turn the pedal on, and you hear them combined. So here's what that sounds like. Just synth to start. And just the mic dry, there's no sound at all. And then I turn the pedal on.
And you combine the vocals and the synthesizer, which is a pretty cool effect.
So all the songs on the album are using that to some extent as in place of vocals. And that way I was able to write lyrics for all the songs, which is something I haven't done before, which was kind of an interesting way to try and deliver a concept, which I thought was pretty fun. So without any further ado, might as well just jump into one of the new songs. The first one I want to show off is called Look at Me, I'm Yellow, and it's I believe the 7th song, 6th or 7th. So yeah, this is Look at Me, I'm Yellow. Alright. That song's called Look at Me, I'm Yellow. And the whole concept of the album, there's not a super strong concept throughout the album like my previous releases. It's kind of more just like I looked at it like an anthology, because the pieces were all written fairly far apart. Like I think the first song that I probably finished early 2021, and it just sat on a hard drive until I had enough material that was in a similar vein that I wanted to release all together. And this one was one of my more recent compositions that fits in the anthology theme of kind of just being the journey of a robot. And this one's about a robot kind of coming to grips with being a robot, which I thought was kind of a funny concept to mess with. So I'm going to open up the project here. I use Cubase. I've been using Cubase forever. This whole album was recorded in Cubase 10.5. And yeah, so here's all quite a few tracks in this project. There's kind of two main segments to the song. There's the first kind of dancey bit at the beginning, and then it kind of slows down at the end, and there's that cool guitar solo part that I like. So that I would just kind of go through and solo a couple parts, kind of show you the bits of the song that I like and some things that were fun to make. Yeah. So right from the start here, the opening sound here, the weird, crazy synth warbles. And the drum beat comes in. It's just 3 tracks of crazy resonant synth sound effects, which kind of fit with the robot vibe I was trying to establish at the start of the song. And then the bass comes in. And for this song, it's programmed MIDI bass and some programmed drums. Pretty happy with that bass line. I thought it sounded kind of fit the dance aesthetic I was going for. And the second part here, it's kind of the chorus, I guess. When the first vocoders here are just kind of the basic talk box effect, which I kind of use most frequently on the album. This kind of sound here.
Know how to feel. I was programmed to be real. Know how to feel. No longer I'll conceal.
That's the talk box effect I was kind of just showing off a little earlier, that I use throughout most of the album heavily. And then this second part here, the chorus, the second vocoder comes in.
Let's begin going. And realize they were all for me. There was no way of going. We were never meant to be.
This is the only time on the album that this kind of vocoder kind of shows up. And I kind of used it sparingly because it's a bit of an extreme effect, but I like the sound of it. And that paired with these kind of high-pitched, shimmering synth arpeggios and the dance chords behind it. And put the bass in. I thought it reached the effect that I wanted to in the chorus to kind of have like that big open sound. I was pretty happy with that. And it's definitely, I think, a really cool vocal effect. It sounds very, very unique. I like that part quite a bit. The cowbell part here. It's pretty fun. See if I can find it in here. Where'd you go, cowbell? Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun. So then going from there, from the chorus, it goes into this kind of video gamey kind of sounding post-chorus. which which has got just this high-pitched, I think I called it in the project party lead, this high-pitched ringing part, and then that paired with a sliding digital slap bass of sound effect. I think that is a cool segue out of the kind of more open sounding chorus. And that leads into the second chorus part with the really big pad vocoders. So as you can probably tell, or maybe you don't, but there's I use like a kind of hybrid approach between digital and analog recording. So about this project has probably got the most programmed stuff with VSTs and digital instruments. It's probably about half and half, but the rest of the songs on the album are almost primarily just recorded from hardware synthesizers. All the stuff I've got set up over here, and my other vocoder set up over there, and guitars. But yeah, the song is, I think there's 2 or 3 songs on the album that have programmed drums in here, and then the rest are all hardware drum machine. And this one's got a couple, like the bass line in this song, and those 2 kind of video gamey sounding leads are VSTs, digital on the, which means digital on the computer. But other than that, pretty much everything on this album is recorded hardware, which was a fun challenge. So going from where we were just at after the big pad chorus, it goes back into another verse, which is just the same as the first one. A little bit louder and a little bit worse. Little different lines, and then goes back to this part, which I'm going to play again because I like it.
She said she's got closer. You can leave all the rest to take. But when I tried to approach her, we were never meant to be.
So that kind of big pad chorus vocoder part comes back. And then right at this part, the synth blippy sound from the beginning kind of has a reprise and leads into the quiet part at the end, which was kind of my segue between the 2, kind of pairing the more upbeat dance part with the down-tempo guitar solo bit. Show off these sound effects again. And then just hard pan in stereo to get a really trippy effect. And then it's kind of a quick harsh transition here. So this huge guitar pad here, I've got 2 main characteristics. There's the part playing right now, which is just 3 tracks of kind of glassy guitar tones that are panned left and right all the way, and then the one down the center. And then underneath of that, there's these 2 really big ambient pads that are just crazy huge reverbs. Really peaceful sounding. And for this one, I think it's on this track here, using the Valhalla Supermassive reverb, which is a super cool reverb. It gives these huge sounds. Kind of show off the range of its effects. That's a bit extreme, but it's fun to play around with. So those are going on in the background the whole time, and there's these underneath all of that, there's another super huge reverb pad with these really quiet lead guitars. The stereo guitar harmony. And that's just playing underneath the guitar solo. And so what I really like about this quiet outro in this song is there's so much going on, but it doesn't sound, with all of it together, you can't really tell that it's so many separate parts, but together it just sounds very cohesive, which I was really proud of. So there's all that, and then there's just some really high, sparse drums, and a hi-hat pattern. Those drums are just holding everything together, and then the sparse guitars with the big pads. One of my favorite parts about, sorry, distorting a little bit there. One of my favorite parts about making tracks like this is being able to layer so many complex things and making a really unique sound. So then on top of all of that, there's a guitar solo, which is probably my favorite guitar solo on this album. And it's just, I think it says right here, my 7th or 8th take. Oh, it says number 6. And I kind of just completely improvised, didn't really have a plan, and just went through the whole long, I think it's about a 1.5-minute guitar solo. And I had a really weird effect on it here. It's kind of a lo-fi guitar sound. There's not much high end to it. You can see the EQ here. Just lots of mids. And that just kind of soars over top of all the rest of the parts. On the album version, the signal cuts out here. If I play it back on the track here, it's just about here. Turn it down a little bit. This part of the song here. And the left channel drops out. I think I might have gone too far back. Yeah, right here. The left signal kind of clips in and out. Which, although it sounds unintentional, was intentional. When I finished the song, I exported all the tracks and bounced it down to just stereo in and out, or stereo left and right out, and put that in a new project, and then edited it so there was a clip, and took it out of the left side. And I was trying to just conceptually fit with the two kind of strong different parts of the song, the dance intro and then this quiet outro, and it kind of fitting into the robot theme. There was kind of like a malfunction in the system that kind of caused the audio to clip there, which was a unique effect. I thought that was fun to play with. And yeah, that kind of just brings to the end of the song is just a big guitar chords fade out into nothing. Really dreamy section that I'm pretty happy with. And that reverb just goes on forever. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts about this track. This one, I think it's the 7th song. It's right in between Caution and Boogie Woogie. And those are also two more fairly recent songs. Like I was saying before, the making this album was very drawn out. I've actually released a whole nother album in between the writing of some of these tracks, and a bunch of an EP and a bunch of singles. Just because I had kind of, it was coming in pieces, all the ideas before they fit together. And as I was finishing it up, I was kind of concerned that it wasn't going to be one cohesive thing, but when it was when I finally listened to it all the way through for the first time, I was pleased with how well it fit together. I think I found enough stuff that there's enough variety, but also enough of the same to keep it engaging, but also not polarizing, which I was happy with. So yeah, that's this track, Look at Me, I'm Yellow. And then I was going to take a quick break and show off. I got physical merch for this album, like my previous releases. It's a USB cassette. So it looks like a cassette tape, but it's actually a USB drive. So it's got digital files on it. So yeah, just show that off a little bit. Switch cameras. Wow. There. Crazy clear. Looks like a cassette tape. But it's actually a USB drive. So you can plug into your computer and there's the digital files on there. And a PDF with liner notes and lyrics and all that kind of stuff. And yeah. Those are available on my bandcamp. Put up the link I got here. Where's my thing? Oh, where'd you go? If you go to my bandcamp, they're available on there. There's also a link in the description. And yeah, super happy with this release. I think it turned out cool. It's kind of a hybrid digital and physical release. So it's kind of trying to, yeah. And the album art, I think I put it up on the screen here. See if it goes up. There we go. The album art there is a piece of AI generated artwork, which I thought was, it was easy and it was perfect. It fit with the theme of the kind of robot thing that I had, kind of tying my songs together. So that turned out pretty cool too. So yeah, physical release. It's available on Bandcamp. Check it out if you're interested in that kind of thing. And the next song I was going to show off is called Boogie Woogie, which is the song that follows this song on the album. It's the 8th song. So I'm going to play that for you now. If I can find it. I closed iTunes. Hold on. There it is. Alright, that's called Boogie Woogie. It's the 8th track on this album. Come back to here. That's the right camera. So yeah, that song's kind of a bit of a... That was probably the easiest song I think that came on the album. One of the last songs I recorded. It's a pretty simple, kind of just a jam with a couple solos in the middle. And there's not really a chorus verse structure. It's more of just, kind of just follows more of a dance mix kind of structure. And I was saying before, open up in Cubase here. Just explain what Cubase is. Cubase is a DAW, which is a digital audio workstation, which is basically what I use to record in. It's got audio and digital music tracks that I record sound into, basically. It's the simplest way of putting it. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones, but this is the one I use. So if I just jump straight into this song, it just starts off with this cool noise sweep. And drums come in. And kind of just sets the tone for the song. It's a bit of a... What BPM are we at here? It's a decent speed, but it's not too fast. I think it's a good dance tempo. Bass comes in here. It's a pretty cool bass with a kind of glide sound effect there. Guitars come in. So another part of that song that I thought was a lot of fun was there's no guitar part that repeats. So there's all these kind of funky guitar interludes, but every time one comes in, it's different. Synths come in. It's one of my favorite effects here. So when I stack two these kind of shimmering arpeggio sounds and pan them hard left and right, it sounds kind of disco-y and it's fun. This kind of high up sounds like a video game sound. Really big pad, super wide, or chorusy 80s sounding pad. Putting the drums back in. I think in this part there's keyboard that comes into right there, this part. Like I was talking about before with using digital instruments and real life instruments, this track is all analog, so everything's recorded. There's no programming or anything. The drums are programmed, but other than that it's all played straight in by me, which is, I think, more of a fun way to work playing, because I'm not sitting clicking in front of a computer the whole time. But just realistically, sometimes you have to do that kind of stuff because I don't have a drum set, so I can't just record drums in, so I gotta program sometimes. But in the case of something like this where it's electronic, it's clearly not a real drum set, I'm able to get away with just having it play on a drum machine and playing guitar over top of it. So we're at this part right here after that synth lead comes in for the first time. This is the first time the vocoders come in on this song. Kind of just nonsensical lyrics, just boogie woogie. Gotta feel the boogie woogie. It's kind of how I was feeling writing the song. It's just a lighthearted, fun dance song. And that's the talkbox effect sound again, like I said before, kind of the most frequently used on this album. This part here. There's kind of a break here. Like I said before, there's no repeating guitar motifs. I think this is my favorite out of, I think there's 5 or 6 in here. We'll loop it here. It's kind of a sliding around. It's recorded, talking about gear for a minute, I got most of the new songs are recorded on, I have 2 PRS guitars now. The PRS 7-string Mark Holcomb signature with an Evertune. And then my newest guitar is a standard SE24 PRS, which most of the solos are played on. But this right here is my 7-string, the funky part with the coil split single coil sound, which basically just means the guitar is sounding cool, in my opinion. But yeah, so there's this cool part. Underneath that there's the bass. Bringing the kind of shimmery video game leads. The drums. And the big pad. There's more vocoders. Another new guitar lick. And when the second vocoder part comes in here, the dig that feeling part, the chord progression behind switches to minor. Same chords, just in minor. It's a 2-chord progression, which I thought just added some variety to the song, so it didn't just sound like a 6 or 7 minute loop. And this guitar lead brings it back to major, and it drops out, and the keyboard solo comes in. I like this keyboard sound right here because it sounds like a zipper unzipping to me. Beginning here. The really heavy glide lead synth. That with a big pad. Bring the bass in. The vocoders come back in here. Again, just more nonsensical lyrics. Guitar solo comes in. This guitar solo I actually played on my Ibanez, which I recorded most of AP with, my first major concept album. So I was struggling with the solo for a little bit, because a fast, crazy solo, there's not a lot of structure to it, it's kind of just straight out shredding. And I was struggling with it. I had a whole ton of takes and none of them were really fitting. So I just switched to one of my old guitars, changed the effects, and on this one I've actually got, where did I go here? Go to my effects. Got the Tal chorus, which is a modern equivalent of the Juno 106 chorus, which is just a classic 80s sounding chorus, which here I can play without. Here's the guitar sound with the chorus, without the chorus. With it, without it. Kind of just adds some more body and just fills out the sound more, I think. And it's just a super cool sound, super cool effect. And also on this I've got lots of delay and reverb, and then a really subtle auto pan, which is just slowly moving the signal. Well, actually it doesn't look like it's going that slow. Just between the left and right ears, just to give it some more variation. Drums in. Bass. There's a cool little funky guitar interlude underneath of this. Vocoders coming again. Just kind of leading out of the solo here. And this crazy shred lead. And back to the chorus part, I guess, is what this would be. I think that was the first take I think I did with that guitar. I did like close to 30 takes with my other guitar and I just wasn't feeling it. Nothing was really fitting. And I switched guitars and kind of just went crazy and it fit. I was really happy with that solo. Back to the change to minor. Just kind of sad for a minute. Another guitar harmony, and it kind of just stays down for the rest of the song. Cool delay on the vocoders there. Really long delay. And the song just rides out like that. And yeah, that's Boogie Woogie. And that was kind of just more of the... Didn't really fit with any of the concept stuff on the rest of the album, but it definitely needed the vocoders in there. I don't think it would have worked as well as an instrumental. I really like the kind of lighthearted vocoder leads in there. I think it turned out as a really good dance track that kind of breaks up the album because there's quite a few slower songs on here. I think that's one of the closing songs that's a little bit more high energy and a lot of fun to play. So yeah, that's Boogie Woogie. And I'm gonna close this up for a minute. I'm just gonna switch screens for a second here and put that back on. So I can play. Where is that part I liked? Let's go back to this guitar bit I liked. And grab something quick. This part here. Okay, just grabbing. I've got some more merch I was going to show off too. Along with the USB cassette release, I've also got some new t-shirts and stickers. They're designed by a local artist here in Euclid, Melody Hillerby. It's a super cool spaceship galaxy design. Let's switch to this camera to show it off a little bit. I'll also link those in the description. You can get them on Bandcamp, and I've also got some holographic stickers. Just show this off on the camera quick. It's not kind of hard to see with the projector on there. Let's see if I can, maybe I'll try the high camera up there. Not really. There are pictures online though if you go to my Bandcamp. It's a super cool design. I was really happy with that one. And there's also holographic stickers. So you hold them in the light and they kind of got like a rainbow glint on them. Super cool. So along with that, I was going to go to the last song I want to show off. Show off one more song and then call it a night. So this last song I want to show off is called Source Code. It's the third track. And I'll play it for you right now.
My system rode on an airship. Two-way romance, never heard of it. It flows both ways, it's not a circuit.
Source Code. It's the third song on this album. That's one of the, I think, one of the standouts of like, it sounds the most like it was recorded separately. Like I was saying a couple times, the album was recorded over a really long period of time, but I think I did it sneakily enough that it sounded like it was all cohesive. But I think this song sticks out a little bit and sounds more like my recent stuff. But I think that's okay. It kind of adds some variety. And the song is called Source Code, and it's kind of a, I was messing around with the idea, in the lyrics anyways, that it's a robot, and if a robot was programmed to be in love, how it would struggle with the concept of that. Just starting right off, we got this intro here, this piece. It's kind of glitchy sounding. You can see over here the panner's going crazy. And then it cuts out. And that was I recorded just from later in the song, I just took that part and sampled it and then put a bunch of effects on it. If I go to my effects here, there's a ton of stuff going on. I got some modulation. There's that tal chorus again. I like that effect quite a bit. A rotary, a cloner effect, ring modulator, which is a really cool sound. Oh, it's having a hard time getting there. Oh, it appeared and disappeared. There it is. So yeah, that intro is kind of, and then it gets cut off by here. Oh, this is kind of deceiving. It looks like a fairly simple song, but I've got these folders because I got a little out of hand. I think there's almost 60 tracks in this song. If I go smaller, you can see everything. A lot of stuff going on. So yeah, that intro bit is cut off here with that sound there. And it was kind of just, I was trying to emulate something like on Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. There's I think a couple songs that do that, or on Welcome to the Machine as well, where there's that kind of noise intro that gets cut off and then the song actually punches in. It's a cool effect for me to listen to, I think, so I was trying to replicate that because I like the sound of it. So yeah, just going from there, sound effect comes in. If I just mute the vocoders for a minute. Super simple chord progression. It's 3 chords in the whole song until the key change at the end. There's not a lot going on, it's just some drums, bass, and chords pretty much. And then in the background there you can hear this. Where is it? Down here. Way down here. This really big wind lead. It's kind of building underneath the whole thing. And the vocoders. Again, just that kind of talk box effect that I like quite a bit. I think it's the most articulate vocoder effect that you can kind of most clearly hear what I'm saying. And the lyrics here are just kind of setting the scene at the beginning of the song, just kind of introducing the setting and the character. And I think conceptually, intentionally or not, the songs all follow a similar character, which are probably just variations of myself, I guess. But there's, yeah. From there it goes into this part here, this kind of interlude guitar solo, which I was trying to kind of emulate Alex Lifeson on Grace Under Pressure by Rush. I really like all the guitar tones on the album. They're very airy and soaring sounding. So trying to replicate that with this solo here. And again, I think I was using that tal chorus again on this because it's just a great sounding chorus. And this was actually the last thing I added to the song before I finished it, was this guitar solo here. Because in an earlier version of the song, if I go into my unused tracks over here, I had the original version of this solo up here that was in the song for probably a month or two. This bit here. I'll mute the one that's actually in the song for a second, if I can find it. Mute that one. you can kind of hear the comparison there. The original one was kind of dinky sounding. It didn't have a lot of body to it. So I switched it to something with a little bit more distortion and added some more guts to it. And you can see at the top here I got unused tracks. I've got this on all the songs in the album. I've got another 20 or so tracks of stuff that I messed around with, but it didn't quite make it in. Lots of alternative guitar solo takes and stuff end up in here, where I got just scratch vocals and stuff to fill in ideas if I don't have time to record them. But yeah, so moving on from that guitar interlude, we get into the first verse, which sounds like this. Oh, my stuff's still muted, sorry. First verse sounds like this. It's still the wrong spot. First try. My system rode on an airship. Two-way romance, ever heard of it? It flows both ways, it's not a circuit. And from there it goes into the chorus. And that verse, I was really happy with it's probably one of my favorite vocal melodies that I came up with, is this verse here. It's kind of an odd lyric. Again, kind of just describing like the robot love song. I learned about love on a data chip. My system rode on an airship. And there's two tracks going on there. The main one, first one is this main one that's just dry. There's lots of reverb on it, quite a bit of reverb on it, but there's nothing too extreme. And then underneath that, there's a second one with a crazy delay that's ping pong stereo delay going between the ears. Which was fun to record. Then into the chorus. And that part's just super stacked. Lots of just repeating the same melody on a bunch of different instruments and in different parts. The vocal melody's repeated here on this. Here's I think the only digital thing in here, only virtual track is this synth lead here. And I'm kind of just playing around E minor to kind of get like a really moody melody there, and that goes into the second guitar solo interlude. In the background there's these kind of John Carpenter-y sounding second verse. And that follows the same structure as the first verse. And there's these cool gated reverb fills that I put in, these big toms. And then the chorus is repeated except just on guitars. I've got, I think it's 3 or 4 guitars. There's 3 there that are doing a 3-way harmony. That's basically the chorus. And it goes into the guitar solo. Back into another chorus there. And that guitar solo again, I was trying to get the Rush, Grace Under Pressure kind of sound, very 80s and cold and harsh sounding, and I think I achieved that with that solo there. It's a very really simple solo, just E minor pentatonic stuff, but I think it's just really moody and slow and kind of adds to the vibe. And then from there we get one more chorus. And this last chorus has these stacked rhythm guitars. Big epic sound. Wind sound effects. Very Iron Maiden kind of pattern here. Slow galloping. And then it just drops out to just drums there for a second. And then there's this big key change here with a big glide synths, kind of like the THX kind of sound. Was very trying to channel like Lovelock, Steve Moore kind of stuff there with this break here. And there's just a whole lot of stuff going on. It's lots of just stacks of the same pad, lots of wind sounds, and then like hidden way down in here is a really quiet guitar. A couple little synth pads, with pan left and right. Some high-pitched synths. And underneath that here come in the lead guitars, again with that Tal chorus. Really delayed clap. And then it all drops out. The vocals come back. And then a really abrupt ending that leads straight into the next song on the album. But this outro bit here with the stacked vocoders, there's a couple songs by Porcupine Tree that I really like. Mellotron Scratch and I think at the end of Heart Attack and a Lay-By both have this kind of, they're very vertically complex vocal parts where there's a whole bunch of parts happening at the same time that interlock and interchange and build into this big thing. And I was trying to achieve something like that with the vocoders here. And I kind of got somewhere close, but I don't think I completely fulfilled what I was aiming for with it. So don't be surprised if I do something again similar in the future, because that's something I'd like to experiment with more. It's quite a bit of fun. I think what I would end up doing differently, because here there's two parts with different lyrics. The first part, there's these two low ones that are just pedaling one note.
Why should I cry when you lie in the night?
And then there's that change there. And these two other ones that are doubling it but adding the harmony to the chord.
Why cry, lie in the night?
And then the second part comes in here that has different lyrics
So what now?
with a different melody.
I was
And a third part.
my one vow was to you.
which I wouldn't do it any differently for this song. I think it fit perfect. But the kind of what I was going for was something a little more vertically complex, where this is all the parts locked together, which I think works really well in this context. Like, even though there's different lyrics and a different melody, the rhythm stays locked, which kind of keeps it all together. But the songs that I'm trying to kind of emulate, which I think I'll kind of go for in the future, the vocal melodies kind of stray from each other and then lock back up later, which I think is another cool effect. But yeah, so that's kind of where this song ends here. Drums all drop out. And like I said, it leads perfectly into the next song. It's a really great transition I'm proud of. And yeah, that kind of concludes that song. Those are the 3 songs I was going to talk about. It's my new song, my new album, VOCOREAL. It's out now. That song, Source Code, a week ago today, a music video came out for it. It's on my YouTube channel. There's also a link in the description of this live stream if you want to check it out. I'm driving through space, and then there's an epic guitar solo with crazy effects, so it's pretty fun to make. Check that out if you got time. It should be linked in the description of this, so you can watch it right after this is over. And yeah, check out my new album. It's on most major streaming platforms and Bandcamp. It's all linked in the description. Check out the physical USB cassette if that's something you're into. And yeah, have a good weekend. Thanks for tuning in.